Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Skyrim Special Edition. We're doing the Dawnguard vampire story, looking for Serena, our vampire companion's mother, which right now we're doing a quite unique quest where we are looking for moonstones and like or stones of the phases of the moon for a sundial that was converted to a moon dial, which wouldn't even work, although there might be a way for it to work. It just wouldn't look like a sundial. And gold ingot. Gold ingot. Look at that. That was quite the reward, getting back behind that door for an adept lock. I've never felt I picked up that much. Now, what's weird is Serena hasn't decided to follow me. So, I'm kind of going through what I suspect is just going to be... Wow, that's interesting. It distracted him. I have said before that AI is probably too good in this game. It's too realistic and not video gamey enough. I may get far down this tower, if more likely far up this tower, and find out. Didn't see that one coming. So at any point, gargoyle sentinels can pop out of nowhere. I am getting a lot of stuff. So, helm of archery. But no dial. Expert lock, one would assume that if there was a collectible I was supposed to get in this place, I wouldn't need to lockpick it. I'm down to 45 locks, and let's see. Is it really on this side? It is. Interesting. Down to 39 locks, and I'm only at level 41 on lockpicking since I went legendary. No, it's the number of lockpicks that I'm down to, 38 lockpicks. So close. Getting there. $33 more chances. And there was nothing in it. I'm not really surprised about that. So, let's see, what was there a reason for coming in here then? Bellows. You don't see too many of those in the game. No, it honestly doesn't look like there is anything in here. So let's go back and talk to Serena. The quest just tells us to investigate the moon dial.
If we had the crests, we wouldn't have to keep hanging around this lovely place.
Let's see.
Look around for the missing crests. Even in this mess, they should stick out.
So they must actually be in this area somewhere. I had already found 3 of them in this area, but I really didn't think I'd find 3 more around here. Are there any perhaps on the walls? Like where a well-placed arrow would knock it down? Here's one. Okay, so we need 2 more. And see, we walked around there, which means I need to look in all the plants here. Harvest that nightshade while we're at it. Yeah, I don't think there's one. I don't think there's one in the garden. Let's search around this area. Hopefully I'm not just missing one. I think 3 is the right number. Let's see. This is an interesting and completely unique quest we're doing. And we haven't seen anything anywhere close to it before. But it's also kind of just proving to be a pain. All I'm doing is wandering around. And do I have to perhaps put the thing on? Oh, there was only one missing. And then this. But what about here?
Very clever, Mother. Very clever. I've never been in those tunnels before, but I bet they'd run right under the courtyard and into the tower ruins. Well, at least we're getting closer. Let's go.
So there's 2 towers that really have nothing in them. Much like most of Skyrim, there's sections that have very little in them, and there's very little reason why you would ever go and search in them other than for more excuses to kill more enemies, which the game has given us way too many reasons to kill enemies and way too many enemies to kill. Coin purse, coin purse. We don't need the wine. And this is the torture chamber that we came.
I've never even seen this part of the castle before. Be careful. I don't know what might be around.
Isn't this just the torture chamber? But I guess maybe not. This might be a different section. We'll see where this leads. I guess it does lead to a different place. Yeah, more.
Who's there? I knew I heard something.
Now I could go to Dragon Lord form, but frankly they don't. She doesn't seem to like it. Even though it seems like she's doing the same soul-sucking spells that I would do as Dragon Lord.
That'll teach you.
Let's see. everybody was sitting at a table, just frozen forever until I guess they were magically triggered by the presence of humans or vampires. Just trying to get my bows back. I mean, my arrows. And it's hard to talk and play video games at the same time. Alright. Which way do we go? Is this the path? Nope, this leads nowhere. And that means this is the path. So I have no idea how this couldn't be the only right solution. Unless the quest looking for her mother takes us to several other places. Because we had a conversation where we could have picked where we thought she was hiding. And I said, well, under the house, under the castle. And then we did this part.
Who's there?
And I feel like if I had said something differently, we would have been led to do those other sections or go to those other places. And I don't know how that would have worked. Maybe it didn't matter. Maybe in the end the storyline and conversation would have just taken us right back to this, because there's too much level here to not experience it, particularly for a DLC section. And I assume if we were playing as the Dawn Guard, for some reason we would be working with Serena and searching in the same area also. Or maybe we'd be working with her mother. Nope. Zoom back. There's a door with an adept lock. First try. That doesn't give me a lot of experience. But also, I guess, doesn't break all my lockpicks. If I could get lockpicks and barrels, that would be interesting. I kind of would have to think what items I'd want to see in barrels that would push me to searching them. Lockpicks, soul gems, gold, occasional weapons, occasional clothes. Practically, I think everything. You'd have to have everything show up in barrels just like they would show up in chests and drawers. And I guess even drawers are now to this level where...
Where'd you come from?
Where they don't have enough in the drawers to make me want to actually search them. Take that ebony arrow, it just bounces right off of them sometimes. Nope. And there's nothing over here. What is that sound? What in the world was that? That's new. That's a new one. And 33 lockpicks. What's in this chest? 3 lockpicks. I guess I should probably keep an eye out for what the exchange is. And if on average you have a good chance of picking up 3 lockpicks when you lockpick something, should you only do it? The light just turned off somehow. My vampiric powers grow as I hunger. 2. A cup. I think that's a new cup.
Where'd you come from?
Adra and Daedra. A lute. Songs of the Night. Moving forward. There better be something at the end of this whole thing. Although that would be... Like, wardrobes are the same issue. You just find clothes in them, which is probably what you... very realistic, but also very useless. And you could easily make the argument that people just hid things in wardrobes and barrels all the time, and so there's almost always treasure to find. There's also an element of just a small amount of gold that I typically collect. Like, when I do find gold, it's in the amounts of 50 to 100 gold, and I, at one point before, I wasted 20,000 gold on something, had 115,000. So getting 500 would make more sense, but then that starts to break into the idea of having to sell really expensive equipment, which you might find, and they don't want to ruin the gameplay mechanic, even though we've been playing for hours and hours, where if you actually want anything of real value, you have to find a piece of equipment and sell it. Got a fence here, and it looks like... Let's ask a question, though. Almost certainly something there. So if I hit it, nothing happens. Other than this guy comes running. Seriously?
Who's there?
These sentinels, somewhat strong. Decent amount of items on them. So they never really said that her mother was this genius mage or anything. So I don't fully understand how she's figured out how to use these sentinels. And that sentinel sent a skeleton flying somewhere, but I have no idea where. And there's nothing here.
We're getting close. I'm sure of it.
That's funny. She doesn't stand up when... Look at what she just did. She stays in a stealth attack mode even when she's ready to fight. And she doesn't just copy me, which I find interesting. Alright, let's go ahead and do that, just in case we need to make a hasty retreat. And my sneak is so good, you can just accidentally walk up on these people. These skeletons, they don't even notice.
Who's there?
And interesting choice, because they're stone statues. They have a amount of minerals on them for smithing. But it definitely feels like you're going to have drastically different experience with Dawn Guard depending on what level and how much of Skyrim you've played up to this point. And Dawn Guard is what gave me vampirism and hurt me in a lot of the gameplay. Not severely, but it definitely it definitely wasn't just this helpful thing to have vampirism and be in danger of dying from flame attacks. Let's see. How many more of these can I see? Alright. So I imagine this way. Bow of ice. Just a weapon sitting on a weapon rack. That's not something that happened a lot in this game. Is finding just your selection of weapons. He probably should have. Though that would have...
We're getting close, I'm sure.
Oh, that's her skeleton. Did I skip that entire room? Nah, I didn't skip the room. That would have been a lot of room to skip. So, 2 ways in here. You could have... I don't want to go through this door quite yet. Be kind of funny if it turns out her mother is actually just here. She's been here the whole time. This door's already open. And see, we have a statue of Mara, I believe. and 9 gold and a tankard in the cupboard. I have a chest over here with an elixir defender and 49 gold. Let's see. I guess the game is actually doing me a favor because it's specifically telling me I don't need to bother searching half of the searchable things in the game as far as wardrobes and barrels, or 2/3 of the searchable things in the game actually, because there will never be anything of massive value in any of them, at least as far as I've ever seen, and I've done thorough enough research there to think that's accurate. But then how about instead reducing the number of wardrobes and items? And I can't help to think maybe that was originally an idea, that there would just be less of these things that could be searched, and instead there would be other things. But I guess at some point the ball got dropped and I guess they just felt like the rooms were too empty. That could have been it in their design of levels. Like, or that there was too many benches and too many other things. See, these aren't searchable, and I'm fine with that. Although an OCD player might very well waste a bunch of time. And this one's stuck in stone. The gargoyles are getting carved.
Where'd you come from?
I don't know why I thought that was the next one. Probably because that was just where my eye line was going to be. I guess the next question is, yeah, is there another one that's going to happen?
Where'd you come from?
Is this some... Look, there's a dragon there. So this one probably is not going to
I don't
turn.
think we've reached the top yet. I bet there's some kind of secret passage around here.
Vampire royal armor and a silver sword. Interesting. Vampire
We're getting
boots.
close. I'm sure of it.
And firewood. And we can see there's scroll.
We're getting close. I'm sure of it.
You can see there's wind under the fireplace. And she brought one of those
I'm sure of it.
back alive. And you'd think maybe there's something. Interesting. There's a ladder that lets me walk up to a gargoyle. Turn the candle. Turn this candlestick.
My mother. Always smarter than I gave her credit for.
There we go. Troll skull. Burned book. Heavy, pointless items with no value. broom, goblets. How bad would this staircase be if there was none of this, though? Honestly.
We're getting close, I'm sure.
Like, it certainly sets the stage, but would an average video game player walking up the stairs really care if there wasn't a linen wrap or a ruined book or a inkwell or a ruined book or a table? I mean, I think not. If anything, what they've done is they've gone against a traditional video game way of making games and forced me to look over items and think about picking them up, where they could have just saved me time and had nothing there. Well,
look at this place. This has to be it. I knew she was deep into necromancy. I mean, she taught me everything I know. But I had no idea she had a setup like this. Look at all this. She must have spent years collecting these components. And what's this thing? I'm not sure about this circle, but it's obviously something. Let's take a look around. There has to be something here that tells us where she's gone.
And the audio changed and it takes control of the camera. Yeah, I imagine what's going on here is it's a portal to something. You know, looking at her female version of the bone armor, it's kind of weird. It's like she's got these two dragon bones sticking out of her chest.
My mother was meticulous about her research. If we can find her notes, there might be some hints in there.
Your mother maintained quite a library. Did your mother keep gargoyles here?
Not that I ever saw. My mother had a bit of a thing for magical constructs. Not what you're thinking. She just found them fascinating. I had no idea her laboratory even existed. She had an alchemy set up in her drawing room, but nothing that even comes close to what's here.
What did she
Looking at
research?
the equipment and materials, it looks like she was trying to advance her necromancy.
To what end?
I don't know. Certainly not longevity. Kind of a waste of time for a vampire.
Maybe she
I
thought
remember
you were
she used to
dead.
keep a small journal. See if you can dig it up.
But yeah, that's just a weird. Ooh, dragon bone? Bone meal, bone meal. Finely ground bone meal. That's a custom item. Like, and I can't level up until I go find something that I can level up with. So finely ground bone meal won't be down here. It'll be over here. Yeah. And we'll find a book here. It is possible we could find some unique book in this whole collection, but I suspect not. Here's a journal. Pretend to read that. And then we'll speak to Serena in a second. True nature of orcs. I'll take that one. I don't think I've seen that one, but I almost certainly have. I don't want to talk to her quite yet. I want to go. Let's see, the balcony, not interested in. Chest, take the gold. Rob the place behind. Soul gem fragments, not interesting. But I'll take any full soul gems. It definitely feels like there should be some ability to find several soul gem fragments and combine them into one soul gem, whether by magic or some other way. We're also looking for Jazz Bay grapes, and I wouldn't be surprised if we find some, but I guess not. Bone meal, grass pod, ashes. Some kind of ashes we picked up there that I think are unique items. A common soul gem, black soul gem fragments, soul gem shards. That's another ingredient. All these fragments. Grand soul gem. In the wardrobe, just some fine clothes. Fire salts. Extreme magicka. Ninroot. That. Continuously pick up items. White cap, small pearls, blue mountain flower, Iowa silver cat, dragon's tongue. Oh, yeah, I think there's a plant called dragon's tongue that we've collected. Let's come over here and see if there might be something to disenchant, because I haven't been super observant of all of that else here. A flagon. Void salts, fire salts, purified void salts. Several ingredients here that we haven't ever seen before. Which obviously, I guess we would need ingredients to cast a spell that we can't cast anywhere else. Found your mother's notes.
You did? Let me see them.
What's this soul Karen that she mentions?
I only know what she told me. She had a theory about soul gems, that the souls inside of them don't just vanish when they're used. They end up in the soul cairn.
Interesting.
The soul cairn is home to very powerful beings. Necromancers send them souls and receive powers of their own in return. My mother spent a lot of time trying to contact them directly, to travel to the soul cairn itself.
Interesting idea. So it's kind of this other hell place.
That circle in the center of the room is definitely some type of portal. If I'm reading this right, there's a formula here that should give us safe passage into the soul cairn.
What do we need?
A handful of soul gem shards, some finely ground bone meal, a good bit of purified void salts. Oh, damn it.
What's wrong?
We're also going to need a sample of her blood, which, if we could get that, we wouldn't even be trying to do this in the first place.
You share her blood?
Not bad. We'd better hope that's good enough. Mistakes with these kind of portals can be gruesome. Anyway, enough of that. Let's get started.
I've already found all the ingredients.
Oh, good. Well then, let's head over to the portal vessel and I'll do the rest.
So, play thoroughly here. So, it's possible that the game has 3 other locations we could have gone to, and they would have ended up in similar alchemy places like this with portals, and then the portal will take us to a central location. It's possible, but it feels unlikely. It feels more likely that this is the only path. We're ready to go?
Then the rest is up to me. Are you ready to go? I'm not entirely sure what this thing is going to do when I add my blood.
Can I ask you something first?
Of course. What is it?
What will you do if we find your mother?
I've been asking myself the same thing since we came back to the castle. She was so sure of what we did to my father. I couldn't help but go along with her. I never thought of the cost.
Sounds like she did everything for her sake. I don't know what she was thinking. Sounds like she was pretty selfish. I don't know what she was thinking.
Neither do I. She always seemed happy before we heard the prophecy. Then it all changed. She became a different person. They both did.
The prophecy is a little scary, making the sun go away.
Yes, you're right. I'm sorry. I just didn't expect anyone to care how I felt about her. Thank you. Are we ready then?
Let's open the portal.
Right. Here goes.
It's strange to actually care about any of the dialogue in this game.
Ancestors. They made the portal in Skyrim. Incredible.
Here. Oh, it's just gonna line up into a nice stairway. I figured I'd just end up jumping.
You'd think a vampire would be right at home in this place. You'd be wrong. Let's just find my mother and get out of here.
So, we're in this kind of hell dimension. I'm gonna pause it for a second and wet my whistle. Beyond Death is the new quest. So we need to turn that on. Are these ghosts gonna talk to me?
Must stay away from the keepers. Must stay away from the keepers.
Who are the keepers?
Please. End this misery.
Well, can I? Nope. It went right through him. Sorry, dude.
Look at this place. Can't imagine choosing to come here. My mother must have been terrified.
Seems like maybe...
That sky, it feels like I'm being watched. Can't stand it anymore.
And then we've got some kind of items that I can collect, but it doesn't... I don't think there's a way to open this gate. Not yet, at least. It may specifically be placed there just to give you the sense of hopelessness that the souls have. Don't bump me out of the way.
This place tears at me as though I am still alive and being drawn and quartered. I can't stand it anymore.
And the fire does not burn me. Seriously? Bonesman. Soul embers. Soul husk. Interesting. That's a new thing. Well, we've got a marker that's telling us where to go.
Where'd you come from?
I mean, we're in like a hell dimension, and still the only thing they can do. Juvia's Opus, page 6. I believe there's like a side quest to find all of those, but that it's an incredibly difficult quest.
This is all wrong.
So I'm not sure I'm really gonna bother to do all
You
that.
must help me find my Arvak. He doesn't deserve to be in a place like this.
Calm down. Who's Arvik?
Arvak, my horse. We came to this horrible place together. We were attacked by monsters, so I told him to run. Please, he's such a loyal creature, and he's been running for so long. You have to save him. A place like this will change you.
Okay.
Arvak? Arvak! Where are you? Arvak, please come back! Come back!
Find Arvak's skull in the soul cairn. Let's see. There we go. I guess. If we look at the map here, where are we? We're way over here in the empty space. And this way we go. Yeah, I could totally see why you wouldn't want the world to look like this. It would kill all the plants at the very least.
Beware the dragon Dunavir, destroyer of souls and harbinger of the fallen.
Arvik? And see, here we have another place that's such a skeleton.
Well, look what we have here. Someone with flesh on their bones.
What's the matter with you?
Let's just say I sold something to a guy who turned out to work for a whole coven of necromancers. How in the name of Zenithar was I to know the ingredients were phony? Do I look like someone that would double-cross a necromancer?
Look like someone that did.
You got it. Horse, wagon, and all. Plopped here without so much as a word. I used to be one of the best traders in High Rock, you know. Now people would track me down just to see what I had for sale. Very funny. And what exactly are you going to pay me with? Take a look around. Gold doesn't exactly win you any friends around here.
Must be something you
I'll
want.
tell you what. I appreciate what you're trying to do, so I'll play along. The only thing I see around here in abundance are soul husks. You know, those ugly fungus-looking things growing out of the ground.
No, I don't.
Bring me, say, 25 of them, and you can rummage through what was left on my cart. Odds and ends I've gathered over the years. Well, used to gather, before all of this nonsense happened to me. Tell me what you're looking for, and maybe we can make a deal. If you have the husks. No husks, no sale. Guess you have some scavenging to do.
So interesting. Where are the soul husks? Though I don't see any on the ground. And this feels just like Crimson Ninroot again. That's a soul husk. Alright, so we know what they look like now. Just... How much stuff can I hold on to before I become overburdened? It seems like there's a growing wall that you run into. Well, let's not just run around. One can hope, I guess, that we would possibly get to a point where you can get back here if necessary. Use the lightning attractor. Grand or greater soul gems to place on top of it. Sure, why not?
Who's there?
I'll take that black soul gem.
Who's there?
I don't know why I did any of that, but that was an interesting turn of events. It blackened the greater soul gem. Let's move forward though. This way. I kind of have to wonder if perhaps we can't leave this area. And we were foolish to come. And maybe she's looking for the soul of her father and herself and Serena because, you know, that's usually how they explain becoming a vampire is the human soul gets pushed out and the demon soul takes over with the memories intact. At least that's how it's described half the time.
Mother? Mother!
Can't be. Serana?
Is it really you? I can't believe it. How do we get inside? We have to talk.
Serana, what are you doing here? Where's your father?
He doesn't know we're here. I don't have time to explain.
I must have failed. Harkon's found a way to decipher the prophecy, hasn't he?
No, you've got it all wrong. We're here to complete the prophecy our way, not his.
Wait a moment. You've brought a stranger here? Have you lost your mind?
No, you don't...
You, come forward. I would speak with you.
So how has it come to pass that a vampire of mixed blood is in the company of my daughter?
Let's see, I'm keeping her safe. I saved her from your foolish plan. I'm just here for the Elder Scroll.
Safe? You call bringing her here safe? Has she explained
Arguably.
nothing to you? Serana has sacrificed everything to prevent Harkon from completing the prophecy. I would have expected her to explain that to you.
That's why I'm here, for the Elder
You
Scroll.
think I'd have the audacity to place my own daughter in that tomb for the protection of her Elder Scroll alone? The scrolls are merely a means to an end. The key to the tyranny of the sun is Serana herself.
What do you mean?
When I fled Castle Volkihar, I fled with 2 Elder Scrolls. The scroll I presume you found with Serana speaks of Ariel and his arcane weapon, Ariel's bow. The second scroll declares that the blood of Cold Harbor's daughter will blind the eye of the dragon.
How does Serena fit in? Serana.
Like myself, Serana was a human once. We were devout followers of Lord Molik Bal. Tradition dictates the females be offered to Molik Bal on his summoning day. Few survive the ordeal. Those that do emerge as a pure-blooded vampire. We call such confluences the Daughters of Cold Harbor.
So the tyranny of the sun requires her blood. Serena underwent this ritual willingly.
It was expected of her, just as it was expected of me. Being selected as an offering to Molig Bal is an honor. She wouldn't have dared turn her back on that.
Cold Harbor.
It's what some call the domain of Molig Bal. His place in oblivion. Now you're beginning to see why I wanted to protect Serana, and why I've kept the other Elder Scroll as far from her as possible.
Are you saying Harkon means the killer?
If Harkon obtained Ariel's bow, and Serana's blood was used to taint the weapon, the tyranny of the sun would be complete. In his eyes, she'd be dying for the good of all vampires.
I'd never allow that to happen.
And how exactly do you plan on completing the prophecy without the death of my daughter?
Perhaps her death is destined. I guess I'll kill Harkon. I'll need your help. Let's go with I'll need your help before we say we'll kill somebody.
Have you been listening to me? Like Serana, I'm a pure-blooded vampire. My presence on Tamriel is as much of a danger as hers.
And Serana's opinion on
You
this?
care nothing for Serana, or our plight. You see the tyranny of the sun as your chance at deification. And like Harkon, you won't hesitate to destroy anything that stands in your path.
Serana believes in me. Why won't you?
Serana, a stranger, may call herself vampire, but she knows nothing of our struggle. Why should I entrust you to her?
This stranger has done more for me in the brief time I've known her than you've done in centuries.
How dare you? I gave up everything I cared about to protect you from that fanatic you call a father.
Yes, he's a fanatic. He's changed. But he's still my father. Why can't you understand how that makes me feel?
Serana, if you'd only open your eyes. The moment your father discovers your role in the prophecy, that he needs your blood, you'll be in terrible danger.
So to protect me, you decided to shut me away from everything I cared about. You never asked me if hiding me in that tomb was the best course of action. You just expected me to follow you blindly. Both of you were obsessed with your own paths. Your motivations might have been different, but in the end, I was still just a pawn to you two. I want us to be a family again. But I don't know if we can ever have that. Maybe we don't deserve that kind of happiness. Maybe it isn't for us. But we have to stop him before he goes too far. And to do that, we need the Elder Scroll.
I'm sorry, Serana. I didn't know. I didn't see. I've allowed my hatred of your father to estrange us for too long. Forgive me. If you want the Elder Scroll, it's yours. Your intentions are still somewhat unclear to me. But for Serana's sake, I'll assist you in any way that I can.
Do you have the Elder Scroll with you?
Yes. I've kept it safely secured here ever since I was imprisoned. Fortunately, you're in a position to breach the barrier that surrounds these ruins.
What do we need to do?
We need to locate the tallest of the rocky spires that surround these ruins. At their bases, the barrier's energy is being drawn from unfortunate souls that have been exiled here. Destroy the keepers that are tending them, and it should bring the barrier down. One more word of warning. There's a dragon that calls itself Durnevere roaming the cairn. Be wary of him. The Ideal Masters have charged him with overseeing the Keepers, and will undoubtedly intervene if you're perceived as a threat.
Okay. If I leave the Soul Cairn, can I safely return? Let's ask that question.
As you've been traveling in the Soul Cairn, your body has become attuned to
So I could leave this area and
Let's
come
just
back.
say a tiny part of you rubbed off on it, and in its place, a bit of the Soul Cairn filled the void. You should find no difficulty using the portal any longer.
Interesting. How'd you get imprisoned here?
When I entered the Soul Cairn, I had intended to strike a bargain with the Ideal Masters, the custodians of this place.
What was the bargain?
I requested refuge in the Soul Cairn, and in exchange, I would provide the Ideal Masters the souls that they craved. If I had foreseen the value they placed on my own soul, I would never have come here.
Interesting, they tricked you.
The Ideal Masters unleashed their keepers and sent them to destroy me. Fortunately, I was able to hold them at bay and retreat into these ruins.
Became trapped?
Unfortunately, yes. Since the keepers weren't able to claim my soul, they had their minions construct a barrier that I'd never be able to breach. Time has very little meaning to me. Consequently, it has little meaning to the Ideal Masters as well. I suppose you could call this the ultimate waiting game, each watching the other to see which would give in.
Why haven't you pursued the prophecy? Good question.
Harkon's vision is a world plunged in eternal darkness, where the vampire can flourish, and never again fear the tyranny of the sun. What he fails to realize is how much attention would be called to our kind if the prophecy came to fruition. If eternal night fell, there are many who wouldn't stand for it. They would raise armies in attempts to return things to normal. The order of the day would be our destruction, until every last vampire was hunted down and eliminated. I do. It's how the vampire has survived for millennia, and the only way we can continue to survive in the future.
Who are the Ideal Masters?
I know very little about them. They're mystic entities that lord over the soul cairn, controlling every aspect from its fabric to its appearance. While some necromancers believe they are the crystalline structures dotting the soul cairn, I believe there's more to it than that. I think they transcend what we perceive as a physical form. Perhaps they were once corporeal beings, but they've obviously reached a point where they no longer require a tangible presence. Conduits, through which the Ideal Masters speak to their underlings and feed on their victims. The Ideal Masters' weakness is their insatiable hunger for pure souls. It's the reason for the Soul Cairn's existence, and the only leverage a necromancer has when bargaining with them.
This is a lot of backstory for necromancers, considering you can't really even be a necromancer.
The ability to summon
You can, but
undead guardians,
it
as one would
wouldn't be the
conjure an
best way to play
attribute
the
or vapor.
Skyrim.
However, the majority of necromancers that are foolish enough to enter into a bargain with the Ideal Masters wind up here as harvested souls.
There we go.
Be careful, and keep my daughter safe.
Let's kill those keeper things and get back to the prison.
So, kill 3 Boneyard Keepers. Not a big issue. I can't level up until I go find somebody that could train me in something.
I'm glad you're here. I don't think I could be doing this.
I don't think I'd want to run around as a Dragon Lord right now. And
Can't believe we've
even this is an interesting place. It kind of is empty. But on that thought, if all of Skyrim was this empty, I'd be a little upset about it, but not terribly upset by it. We won't have to pick up much in this area, just soul husks and the occasional
I'm glad you're here.
collectible.
I don't think
And see. Once we get that Elder Scroll, it's probably going to be really easy to get the other Elder Scroll back, because I imagine that a lot of players wouldn't have ever sold the Elder Scroll from the main game, and so that would be silly. Let's see. New save for, which puts us at 102. Let's look at our stats here. Let's see, mauls. We've mauled 32 people. Necks bitten, 8. We have spent 71 days as a vampire, which is weird because how did we spend so much time as a werewolf? We've discovered 214 locations, cleared 61 dungeons, 232 days have passed. We still haven't played for a year in this game, which Uh, it probably should have been a year by now. We've spent 205 hours sleeping, 365 hours waiting. We found 12 standing stones. That's probably a ridiculously low number. 138,000 gold. No, 1,387,000 gold found. The most I've ever carried is 125,000. I've looted almost 2,000 chests. I've increased 1,166 skills. Skill books read 71. Food eaten just 52. Training sessions 286. Now, the fact that I'm at level 67, and if I multiply that by 5, I should have been at 290, right? 295 training sessions would have been the perfect amount. And so that means there were 4 times I could have trained and I leveled up before I did. Probably at the very beginning of the game. I've only owned 4 horses. I've owned 4 houses. Horses and houses right next to each other. I've invested in 8 stores. I bartered 10,358 times. Persuaded only 34 people. Bribed only 3 people. Intimidated only 3 people. And contracted 4 diseases. We are now doing Dawn Guard quests. That's on this list. It wasn't there before. And we've done 6 of them. And if it's like the Companions quests, where there's only 7, or the College of the Winterhold quest, where there's only 8, or the Civil War quest, where there's only 9, it wouldn't surprise me if there's only a couple more hours of gameplay for Dawn Guard. Done 10 Daedric quests, and we've completed 5 quest lines. And let's see, killed almost 1,000 people, almost 400 animals. What's the difference between animals and creatures? Undead, Daedra. These numbers seem really low, honestly. Automatons. I've only killed 107 automatons, apparently. And let's see, backstabs, I've done exactly 0. Weapons disarmed, I've done exactly 0. I didn't even know you could do that. Bunnies slaughtered 0. Brawls 1. 4. Magic, I've done very little as far as magic. I've learned 59 spells, so I guess that might be a good indicator on how many there are. I don't have a favorite school. My favorite spell is Vampire Drain. I've collected 27 Dragon Souls. I've learned 40 Words of Power, and I've unlocked 43, which it should be the other way around. That's probably because I got Dragon Rend handed to me, or some other shout handed to me for free. Shouts learned 20, and shouts unlocked 20. Shouts mastered 6. Which, that's probably, a shout is mastered when you have all 3 of them. Favorite shout, Dragon Rend, time shout at 143. Crafting, soul gems used, soul gems trapped, poisons. Ingredients harvested, nearly 2,000. Wings plucked, 100. Nin roots found, 69. Ingredients eaten, 112. Poisons used, 8. Poisons mixed, 710. When you look here at the crafting and like magic items made, 562 magic items made. Weapons made, 339. Armor improved, 374. Armor made, 859. Potions mixed, 982. Potions used, 125. You can clearly see the split here of how much alchemy, enchanting, and smithing you have to do in this game. And I don't believe I ever went legendary with alchemy. I don't think I did. I went maybe legendary with enchanting, maybe legendary with definitely legendary with smithing, but alchemy itself, I've done 982 potions and I'm still not up to level 100. I clearly don't understand something there. As far as crime, very little crime done. Maybe we'll get thrown in jail at some point. 24 murders, 55 assaults, 34 trespasses. Largest bounty is 4,000. There's achievements for getting like a 10,000 bounty in all of the major cities. But that's something I may never do or may just do at the end of playing this. I don't know really if I'm almost certainly not going to get all the achievements, and if you're not going to get them all on Steam, it doesn't even matter. We have Beyond Death is a quest we have to do, and then Scroll Scouting is a quest we have to do for Dawnguard, and then Seeking Disclosures something we have to do. But this Rising at Dawn was something here. This is how I cure vampirism, is the Rising at Dawn quest. Good. And if I go to any more inns, I guess I'll ask for rumors and see if I can start more quests, even if I'm not gonna finish them. Like Aranel's Endeavor is another one that I probably won't do. Animal Extermination, probably not gonna do. Burglary Job, probably not gonna do. Dark Brotherhood Forever Goes On Forever. No Stone Unturned. I would still need 11 more stones there. The Dragonborn quest is the second DLC, and then some of these side quests, I'm going to see if I can unlock them and work towards them, but not really bother doing them. And then when you look in comparison to just the long list of quests we've done, it has been an amazingly long journey. An amazing long journey that you could easily have annualized this game and given me, let's say you just start here with Unbound. That's the first beginning of the game. If you had stopped, let's see, here, where let's see, scroll down here to about right this point. I think this is about where the Thieves Guild quest was done. Because we have the Eye of Magnus right here, which is the Winterhold quest. So if they had just stopped at that point, so the Winterhold quests and everything I did at the beginning of the game, I would have been fine for the first year. And then the Thieves Guild quest and more of the main story, I would have been fine. And then the Dark Brotherhood quests and more of the main story, and I would have been fine. There's just so much here. So much. Anyways, I'm mostly just wasting time now. That's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.